You know, my relationship to the Zelda series is kinda weird. I love the franchise and the amazing stories it's given us, yet I've only played 5 entries in it, and I only finished 3 of them. But I 100%ed the ones I finished, so that's gotta mean something. So, since I care about this silly little series of games and its timeline, let's look through it. But I'm gonna do this my way. Rather than restricting myself to the chronological order, I'm gonna structure these games by the overarching story they're telling. Now, if what you're actually looking for is a chronological timeline of the Zelda series, I recommend the videos by Commonwealth Realm, as those are quite in-depth. This is a story video, not a franchise history video. Note that this is gonna get a bit messy over time. I want to thank the Zelda wiki, link in the description, for being such an easy to navigate knowledge base on the games, especially with its timeline page. Otherwise I might not have bothered at all. Now then. Long ago, an artifact called the Triforce was entrusted to the goddess Hylia. As it could grant any wish to any mortal who touched it, many were after it, but none were as dangerous as the demon king the Mice.
We need to fight him, but first...
Immediately, Hylia sent the humans to the sky with a cloud barrier meant to protect them. Oh, I'm sure the Mice will never find a way to circumvent that, no siree. Hylia then fought alongside the other land dwellers. No, I do not know why only humans got special treatment. And the first hero against the Mice. The demon and his forces were sealed successfully, but the hero perished and Hylia gave up her godhood so that she could be mortal and wield the Triforce herself. Her last act as a goddess was to create the goddess sword and Phi in order to aid the hero's reincarnations. This fallen hero is at times referred to as Hylia's chosen hero. After millennia pass, Hylia is reborn as the first known Zelda. She gets kidnapped by Girahim, a servant of the Mice. These events lead to her remembering her past life. Link, the reincarnated hero and the childhood friend of Zelda,
This bitch empty! Yeet!
is led by Phi to draw the goddess sword, which she eventually forges into the Master Sword. After arduous struggles through time and space, Link gets the Triforce and tries to save Zelda, only for her to be then taken to the past by Girahim. And people call Sonic 06's time travel messy. Zelda's soul is used to revive the Mice, only for Link to immediately seal him in the Master Sword. In his last moments, the Mice curses Link and Zelda to be eternally reborn and fight his hatred. Petty bitch, got a free home and decided to curse his landlord over it. I mean based, but still. Link leaves the Master Sword in the sealed temple of the past, leading to Phi becoming dormant. He and Zelda return to their present and decide to stay on the surface to watch over the Triforce. Thus, it becomes repopulated, and the Hylians form Hyrule. For his achievements, Link was from then on referred to as the hero of the skies. So, yippee, the royal family gets established and every princess born into it will be named Zelda after this one. Skyward Sword gives us a simple yet great origin story of everything. Ergo, it made sense to give it its own arc, but this is a one-time thing for this video, until it isn't. But that's for later. Now I want to focus on another question. The Mice's curse, what was that about? At the dawn of time, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the world. Din created the earth, Nehru brought order, and Ferore rose new life from the soil. They then rose to the heavens, leaving only the Triforce for Hylia to protect. Didn't know goddesses also leave to get milk. Good to know. After the Skyloftians came to the earth and founded Hyrule, word spread of the Triforce and a war followed. The Interlopers, a tribe of sorcerers, wanted dominion of the Sacred Realm, which was where the Triforce resided. In return, the Spirits of Light were sent by the goddesses to banish them to the Twilight Realm. Ironically enough, this is probably preferable to the Sacred Realm, considering what Ganon ends up doing to it in A Link to the Past. Rauru, the Sage of Light, built a Temple of Time around the ruins of the Sealed Temple to protect the Triforce, as the Master Sword within was the only way to access the Sacred Realm. He then closed the Door of Time to further protect the pedestal. And a single child managed to open it all up for the King of Evil. Nice going, Rauru. Another civil war came to pass, and a Hylian woman had to flee to the Kokiri forest, giving her son, Link, to the Great Deku Tree before she passed. Link was raised as a Kokiri, and the King of Hyrule managed to end the war, unifying the kingdom again. You know, I was thinking of making a child abandonment joke, but this is just kinda sad. Link's got it rough. But don't worry, it's gonna get worse. Ganondorf, the king of the Gerudo, pledges his loyalty to the king of Hyrule, but secretly plots to get his hands on the Triforce. As part of this goal, he curses the Deku Tree. Okay, larceny is based and all, but attacking the elderly? Also based, but what a little bitch. With his dying breath, the Deku Tree sends Link and Navi to Hyrule Castle so they may stop Ganondorf. Link is like 9, by the way. As Link and Zelda meet there, they decide to work together to open a door of time and get the Triforce before Ganondorf may do so. Link manages to pull out the Master Sword, but is sealed in the Chamber of Sages for 7 years, traveling into the future and becoming the hero of time. Unfortunately, this allowed Ganondorf to get the Triforce. He only kept the Triforce of Power though, what a bitch. And ruin Hyrule with his monsters. What? Yeah, I can also tell the stories. I just do the narrative voice for the fun of it. Hey, wait! Link gets the Triforce of Courage. Zelda gets the Triforce of Wisdom. Due to their curse, this trinity will forever form to fight this endless battle. Link and Zelda seal Ganondorf in the Sacred Realm with the help of the 7 Sages. Zelda sends Link back to his own time, 7 years prior, to relive his childhood.
Look, I know nobody respected you when you were a kid, and the people that raised you basically treat you as if you had killed their father. But how about I send you back anyway? I'm sure this will be a great plan with no negative consequences.
Link returns the Master Sword and gets surprised when Navi disappears. Alright, side note. Unless I'm mistaken, and I'm literally perfect, so how dare you think so, it's never officially stated why Navi left. However, well, considering that the fairies that heal you don't seem to live past their one purpose, I think the implication is clear. Poor Link. Anyway, who wants to see how much more he can suffer? Link searches for his fairy friend, eventually finding himself in the Lost Woods. A Skull Kid wearing Majora's Mask steals the Ocarina of Time from him. As he chases after the Skull Kid, he falls into a parallel world called Termina. Fun fact, apparently it's named after a terminal, like the one at an airport or a train station, not after the word terminal meaning that something is deadly. Still, death is a major aspect of the game, so interpret it how you like. The moon is supposed to fall onto Termina within just 3 days, so Link uses the retrieved Ocarina of Time to reset the counter over and over again until he can save the world. Weirdly enough, some vision of Zelda makes him use the Song of Time for this. Previously, it just teleported blocks around. How he managed to bastardize the song like that, I cannot tell you for the life of me.
Hey, wanna hear me play Darude Sandstorm?
With the help of magical masks, Link frees the 4 giants and stops the moon. He beats Majora, and the hero of time is never seen alive again. However, undead, he becomes a warrior known as the Hero Shade. Even so, his legacy as the hero of time never ceased shaping Hyrule's past, present, and future. Due to Link being able to tell Zelda and the King of Hyrule about Ganondorf's plans early, and then proving himself trustworthy thanks to his Triforce of Courage, Ganondorf was sentenced to death. The 7 sages attempted to execute the Gerudo, but the gods blessed him with the Triforce of Power. Why? Because lmao. Ganondorf killed the Sage of Water, Ruto. Look me in the eyes. He kills Ruto, otherwise she would still be alive by Twilight Princess. So the remaining sages used the Mirror of Twilight to banish him into the Twilight Realm instead. The descendants of the interlopers that were sealed here were the Twilight, who would prove quite important in the ensuing conflict. Ganondorf appears before Zant and grants him the power needed to overthrow the Twilight Princess, Midna. She flees to the Light World, in which the usurper invades Hyrule with his shadow beasts, bringing twilight to the kingdom. Thanks, Midna. Link, a farm boy from Orden Village, meets Midna. When he enters the Twilight, he turns into a wolf instead of a monster like everyone else. This is thanks to the Triforce of Courage he inherited from his ancestor, the Hero of Time. Link and Midna restore the light to Hyrule, allowing him to become human again. They gather the pieces of the fused shadow to defeat Zant. During this quest, Link receives training from his undead ancestor, the Hero Spirit, in sword fighting. Think about it for a second. The Hero of Time basically lost everything and potentially had to fight for his entire life, and then still takes care of Hyrule while he's a spirit. I don't like silent protagonists that much, but this one's handled pretty damn well. Zant curses Link back to his wolf form, steals the complete fused shadow, and fatally injures Midna. Wow, congrats on the 3-hit kill, I guess. Link takes Midna to Zelda. Oh yeah, she's here too. Kinda funny how irrelevant the character the franchise is named after can be. Imagine that in a Mario game, who pours her spirit into the Twilight to save her. The duo then gets the Master Sword from the ruins of the Temple of Time, which removes Link's curse, and gather the shards of the Mirror of Twilight that Zant broke. The Twilight Princess uses the fused shadow to kill her usurper. The resurrected Ganondorf is then properly killed, still standing, by Link. Midna returns to the Twilight Realm and shatters the Mirror of Twilight to separate their worlds forever, guaranteeing Hyrule's safety from any other evil Twilight. For all the work Link put into saving both worlds, legends referred to him as the Hero of Twilight. I hope you now see why I wanted to use this arc structure to talk about this franchise. The story of the Hero of Time is genuinely fascinating, and Nintendo knew this because they hadn't been the one that reappeared to guide the Hero of Twilight. When these stories come together, they manage to tell fantastic tragedies. We followed one guy losing everything, yet still having the strength to fight on. Honestly, it feels empowering and has a genuine message behind it, especially when you consider how dark these games really are. But that's enough nonsensical babble. There's just one question on my mind right now. If the Hero of Time was made to travel back to the past to warn the King of Hyrule of Ganondorf's treachery, what happened to the timeline he left behind? The one where he defeated Ganon? Well, let's just say it's not much better off. The Hero of Time managed to save Hyrule from the tyrannical rule of the evil Ganondorf, but vanished when he was sent back to his youth. When the seal of the Seven Sages breaks, nobody is there to defeat him once more, as the hero spirit went with him. Nice going, Zelda.
Fuck off. How was I supposed to know?
Ganondorf escaped from the Sacred Realm and used his Triforce of Power to bring darkness to Hyrule. The lack of a hero made King Daphnis no hands in Hyrule and his people plead to the goddesses for salvation, so they flooded the kingdom to seal Ganon in it. The Hylians were then chosen to build a new world on the mountaintops, now islands, in the Great Sea. Dear God, it's Splatoon again! The Triforce of Wisdom then also broke in two, one staying with King Daphnis and the other going with his daughter, Zelda. She headed to the surface and had descendants, letting her piece go from daughter to daughter. Daphnis, however, stayed underwater, with a Hyrule frozen in time. Centuries later, Ganon breaks free, again, and looks for the Triforce of Wisdom. Since he knows he's looking for Zelda's descendant, he hires the Helmerach King to kidnap young girls with pointed ears. By coincidence, one of the girls he kidnaps is Aryll, the sister of a boy from Outset Island called Link. Wanting to save her, he receives guidance from the King of Red Lions. You'd think Ganondorf would also look for the current Link, especially if he also wears the damn green tunic. Guess not. Link opens up Hyrule and pulls the Master Sword from its pedestal in Hyrule Castle. He finally saves Aryll with the help of Tetra and her pirate crew, but can't beat Ganondorf himself. But no worries, we got the shitty parent to help us. After Link and Tetra escape, the King of Red Lions reveals himself to be King Daphnis. He mends his and Tetra's pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, making her awaken as Princess Zelda.
To be clear, I did not consent to this.
Link awakens two new sages to restore the Master Sword. But oh no, leaving Princess Zelda alone gave Ganon the chance to kidnap her to his tower. Is everyone in the royal family a moron? Link returns to Hyrule and thus the Triforce is reunited. But before Ganondorf can make his wish, Daphnis wishes for Hyrule to be washed away forever. Link and Zelda defeat Ganondorf and are able to return to the surface while Daphnis decides to vanish with his kingdom. With the past finally left behind, Zelda becomes Tetra again, and she and Link start the search for a new continent to settle on. And like with everything else, nothing ever goes wrong, right? They come across the world of the Ocean King on their search. Tetra boards a ghost ship and is taken away while Link gets stranded. Save for the fairy Ciela he meets, he's on his own. Therefore, he teams up with Linebeck I to find both the ship and Tetra. Neither of which would likely be possible without the clues from the Temple of the Ocean King or the Phantom Hourglass Link uses to navigate. When the hero finally finds Tetra on the ship, she is already a rock statue.
I prefer sea shanties over rock and roll, honestly.
This fate befell her due to a monster named Bellum stealing her life force. Link forges the Phantom Sword so that he may slay it. Oceus, Ciela's so-called grandfather, reveals himself to be the Ocean King and fuses the Phantom Hourglass into the Phantom Sword, allowing Link to defeat Bellum and save Tetra. Honestly, it's always a nice change of pace to have a one-game-only villain. Those can be just as impactful as overarching antagonists. Once the Ocean King regains his true form, Link and Tetra return to their world as well as the search for a new continent. For all of his work in finding a new future, Link was bestowed the title of the Hero of Winds, although many simply called him the Wind Waker. Eventually, they were successful in their search. The new continent they discovered had the spirit tracks all over it, as well as the Tower of Spirits in the center. All of these structures were created by the lmao to seal the Demon King Malladus. Seeing this as a good piece of land, Tetra founded New Hyrule, and the country thrived for a century. Until the spirit tracks start to disappear. Link, the royal engineer, and Zelda, Tetra's descendant, go to the Tower of Spirits to investigate the matter. The train is derailed by Chancellor Cole, who reveals that he is a demon and wants to revive Malladus. Nice going, Tetra.
You know what? That's fair. I should have guessed.
Burn removes Zelda's spirit from her body, and that's one way to describe child murder. And said body gets carried to the top of the spirit tower to be offered as a vessel to Malladus. The spirit tower is then also fragmented into floating pieces, so Link and Zelda's ghosts travel to 4 temples to restore both the spirit tracks and the tower. They climb to the top, but are too late to prevent Malladus from possessing Zelda's body. Although this ends in them following Malladus to the Dark Realm, where they kill the fucker and Cole with the Bow of Light and the Locomo Sword. Not sure if I should be shocked or proud that this franchise has so many bloodthirsty child protagonists. With Zelda having regained her body and Hyrule at peace, the Locomo return to the heavens as they are no longer needed. For rising above all expectations, Link gained the title of the Hero of Spirit, although he still thought of himself as merely the royal engineer. What I just described to you is another beautiful trilogy, but instead of focusing on one guy, it's focusing on Hyrule as a whole. We see the land fall apart, its citizens regrouping and finally moving forward. But this is still about the Hero of Time, isn't it? There's a reason Wind Waker is the first 3D Zelda to release on the GameCube right after Majora's Mask. Right after seeing his story, the next question the franchise answers is what happened to the future Hyrule after he vanished, elaborating on how it would fare without him. The answer? It wouldn't. However, Wind Waker is only one of the 3 Ocarina of Time sequels we have, which is why we have the freeway timeline split, by the way. We saw the world that the Hero of Time saved, and the one he abandoned. What of the one he quote-unquote failed? After successfully killing the hero, Ganon took the pieces of the Triforce he was missing from him and the princess he died protecting. She promptly led the 7 sages to seal both the beast and the holy artifact in the Sacred Realm, which had already started to become the Dark World. Again, the Twilight Realm probably sucks less than it. What an achievement! Years later, when his transformation was complete, the door to the Sacred Realm was opened once more. There was a great fight over the Triforce, despite more of Ganon's demons coming out of this now cursed realm. The King of Hyrule commanded the new 7 sages to seal it again, which works, although the Hyrulean knights defending the kingdom were almost completely wiped out. The cost of this war, both in resources and lives, left Hyrule impoverished. You know, I think it's kind of hilarious that the old minimalist NES and SNES versions of Hyrule are explained in-universe as the kingdom actually deteriorating. And grim. It's also extremely grim and kind of tragic. Despite years of peace, the kingdom of Hyrule still suffers countless misfortunes. The king offers a reward for anyone who can stop them, which is when the wizard Aghanim appears with his magic and does just that. The totally not suspicious Aghanim was promptly declared a hero, some even calling him the second coming of the 7 sages. Since all royals are stupid, the king appointed him chief advisor. With his position and power, the wizard brainwashes Hyrule's soldiers and deposes the king. Alright, I've heard enough. Twink time! Princess Zelda, who is trapped in a jail cell, calls upon a young boy named Link with telepathy.
Link, please. We need to traumatize a child for the game so well.
He wakes up and sees his uncle leave with sword and shield, warning him to stay home. Despite the warning, Link follows him, only to see him die in the castle dungeon. With his dying words, Link's uncle reveals to him that the two of them descend from the Knights of Hyrule. Because being called Link isn't enough of a curse already, Link saves Zelda, leaves her with the priests at the sanctuary, and goes to take the Master Sword. Which is hidden in the Lost Woods, by the way. In the other timelines, it's always left inside major buildings, but here it's almost left to rot. It's a nice, if accidental, detail that allows for the Hyrule has fallen narrative to be more cohesive. But, as Link pulls the blade out of its pedestal, Aghanim's forces kidnap the princess. The hero tries to save her, but the wizard banishes him to the Dark World with the last of his power remaining after a dangerous battle between the two. After a long quest, Aghanim is revealed to merely be Ganon's alter ego, as Link defeats the wizard and the Demon King rises from his body. Link kills the Demon King in the Pyramid of Power and finds the complete Triforce inside the building. His wish restores Hyrule and revives the Fallen. Finally, the Triforce is safe once more. I'd insert the SpongeBob clip here, but do we even need it? Not long after his death, Ganon's surrogate mothers, Twinrova, already plot his revival. For their plan, they require the Flames of Destruction, Sorrow, and Despair, as well as a human sacrifice. For this plan, they sent Onox, the General of Darkness, to Holodrum, and Viran, the Sorceress of Shadows, to Labrynna, leading to the Oracle games being split into versions like we're playing fucking Pokemon. One day, Link gets teleported to Holodrum when he touches the Triforce. There, he meets Din, the Oracle of Seasons, who is captured by Onox, but he quickly saves her. As he is then magically transported to Labrynna, similar events play out with Nehru, the Oracle of Ages, and Viran. Despite Link's victories, Twinrova still succeeds in lighting the Flames of Destruction and Sorrow. Honestly, I respect a story that lets the hero lose in a way even if they technically win. And we're about to see just how much can be lost. Zelda arrives in Labrynna, but is immediately taken by Twinrova.
I suppose this is what I get for wanting to cameo.
This lights the final flame, the Flame of Despair. Just before the witches can sacrifice Zelda, Link strikes them with a fatal blow, so they sacrifice themselves for Ganon's revival instead. This incomplete ritual leads to a botched revival. The once proud Gerudo King is nothing but a mindless beast at this point. In other words, the average Twitter user. Having defeated the monster before, Link does it again and restores peace to Holodrum and Labrynna. After a proper celebration, he sails off on a boat, wanting to find new adventures. Hey, you know how the heroes in this franchise typically have shit luck? A powerful storm overtakes the boat, knocking Link unconscious. He awakes when he is washed ashore on an island called Koholint and rescued by a girl named Marin.
Hi, you will never emotionally recover from meeting me.
He tries to leave the island, but according to the inhabitants, there's nothing but sea around it. He'd need to wake the windfish that sleeps in an egg atop Mount Tamaranch to leave. In other words, Link is living a fever dream. The hero plays the Ballad of the Windfish and fights the nightmare. It is then revealed to him that Koholint is merely the Windfish's dream, so waking him up would make everything and everyone disappear. But Link is a hero, and heroes need to make tough choices. The Windfish wakes up, Link does the same, and clings to a plank of wood from his destroyed ship, drifting along the endless sea. Koholint vanishes entirely, although the hero feels like Marin may have returned to him as a seagull. The rest of Link's story is unknown. Some theorize that he would later partially guide the next hero as an old man, although that is ultimately just hearsay. What is known is that, for his countless heroic deeds, Link received the title of Hero of Legend, although, as all prior heroes were forgotten by history, many called him the Legendary Hero, or just the Hero of Hyrule. After a long time, the Triforce split once more, because of course. The Triforce of Power goes to the still sealed Ganon, and the Triforce of Wisdom stays with the royal family, but it is not known who the Triforce of Courage chooses, only that it is said to always belong to the hero spirit. All pieces would eventually be reunited in another world called Lorule. This one differs from Hyrule in its history as, during the battle for the Sacred Realm, the Triforce as a whole was destroyed. Since this is still Hyrulean royalty we're talking about, this backfired horribly and led to the kingdom falling to ruin. And that's how it got rebranded to Lorule. Because of course. Years after the separation of the Triforce, the wizard Yuga appears from another world and transforms the current descendants of the Seven Sages into paintings. Link, a blacksmith apprentice, attempts to stop him, but the villain takes the paintings of all sages and even Princess Zelda with him as he flees to another realm, Lorule. In short, Yuga shoves enough people into paintings to make King Boo blush.
How am I not a sage? I am literally a descendant of the leader of the first sages. That's how our royal family works.
Link follows Yuga, but the young hero is too late, as Yuga uses the sages to free the beast Ganon and fuse with him, gaining his Triforce of Power. Fortunately, the Princess of Lorule, Hilda, holds the monster back. This allows Link to get out and save the sages across Lorule, awakening the Triforce of Courage inside him. Of course the guy called Link with a sword and a green tunic has the Triforce of Courage. Is anyone surprised? Well, Hilda sure isn't. As Link is ready to fight Yuga, the Princess of Lorule reveals that she orchestrated everything. She explains that she wants Hyrule's Triforce so that she may rebuild her ruined kingdom, promptly taking Zelda's Triforce of Wisdom and ordering Yuga to take Link's piece as well. He betrays and turns her into a painting, uniting his power with her wisdom to further challenge Link. If the fact that Link still wins doesn't prove that individual Triforce pieces are fucking worthless, I don't know what does. Like sure, he has courage, but you, Ganon, has wisdom and power, and having all three basically is omnipotence, but he still loses. So yeah, I think Yuga didn't get stronger by this, and he's just stupid. As Yuga and Ganon are defeated, they fade away. The wizard was merged into the beast, but now he is just absorbed by it. Zelda and Hilda are freed from their paintings, but the latter refuses to relent on the matter of the Triforce. This is when Ravio appears and pleads with her to let the Hyruleans go. She finally relents, sending them back through Hyrule's sacred realm, as it is where the first crack between worlds was found. After being sent to Hyrule's sacred realm, Link and Zelda find the Triforce whole once more. They decide to wish for Hyrule's Triforce to be restored, giving their neighboring world a future again. A bright future Hyrule unfortunately doesn't share, but that's a separate story. The hero Link leaves Hyrule, deciding to venture into Hytopia for a while, where he is quickly recruited to fight the evil witch Lady Maud. She cursed Princess Hyla to wear an irremovable brown jumpsuit.
You gave me the ugly.
And that made the people panic for some reason. Link works with two heroes that happen to look like him to get the pieces of their lady's ensemble, finally obtaining the last one by defeating Lady Maud. Her younger sister, Madame Couture, assembles the outfit, which frees Styla from her curse. The hero would leave again, deciding to continue adventuring, but never leaving his past as a smith's apprentice fully behind him. For saving three connected yet separate kingdoms, Link received a few titles. Legends refer to a hero of the Triforce who managed to reassemble it, or a hero of worlds, but most remain more simple. The hero of Lorule, the hero of Hytopia, and even the new hero of Hyrule. Creative, that last one, and it's the only official one too. I had to come up with the idea of the hero of legend also being called the hero of Hyrule due to all the prior ones being forgotten for it to even make sense. After all, as we all know, the original hero of Hyrule is yet to take the stage. But that's my headache to sort out, I guess. Thanks to the hero of worlds recovering the Triforce, Hyrule had another golden era of prosperity as Hyrule's kings and queens ruled with its strength. One of those kings doubted his son's worthiness of the Triforce, so he split it once more. The Triforce of wisdom and power remained in Hyrule, but the king only taught his daughter, Zelda I, about the location of the Triforce of Courage. This title of Zelda I was only given to her later through history, as her fate would make it fitting. So, the Hero of Time failed, and this is what happened as a result. Hyrule fell apart at the seams, and there wasn't really anything to be done about it. It gets so messy that history is completely forgotten, and the few heroes that do emerge have so much evil to fight, both in and out of Hyrule, that they never really get to rest. To be clear, this was absolutely not planned. However, it does accidentally give us a fascinating look into what can happen as a result of the Miser's curse. If even one Link fails to protect Hyrule, the consequences are fucking horrid, and everyone has to deal with them for ages. But here's the kicker, it can get worse. It can deteriorate until it needs to be left behind, similar to Wind Waker's Hyrule. The king's son would one day ascend to the throne, but was surprised to find out that he would only inherit the Triforce of Power and the Triforce of Wisdom. An unknown magician, possibly connected to Ganon, encouraged him to question his sister about the location of the last piece. Zelda refused to budge, so the magician cursed her to slumber for all eternity. You know, just this once, I have to say that the royal made the right choice. This dude was so unfit to rule. The new king, filled with regret, placed his sister on an altar in the North Castle and declared that naming all women in the royal family Zelda was no longer just tradition, but also law. This is what earned her the title of Zelda I. I'd also say that this is the true Legend of Zelda. The king tried to govern Hyrule, but the incomplete Triforce led to its slow decline. The pieces of power and wisdom were still handed down in the royal family, but the Triforce of Courage was eventually forgotten entirely. A generally tragic element that keeps reappearing in the Zelda games is how history is forgotten. This was already a major theme of the adult timeline, but Downfall shows us the same. Ganon is revived once more and steals the Triforce of Power. The current Princess of Hyrule, once again called Zelda, splits the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 pieces and hides them across Hyrule before she is trapped by the beast. Zelda sends her nursemaid, Impa, to find a courageous hero. Ganon sends a search party after her, but before the elderly woman can be killed, Link comes across her and saves her life.
Honestly, if it hadn't been for this lucky coincidence, we would have probably been screwed. Lucky us.
The young boy recovers the entire Triforce of Wisdom, the magical sword as well as the silver arrows, and, after an arduous journey, fights and kills Ganon in Death Mountain. His journey allows Link to quickly be declared as the hero of Hyrule, forever making the discussion around hero titles a lot more messy than it needs to be. Ganon's minions remain, never ceasing their attempts to revive their Dark Master. Similarly, Link does his best to aid in Hyrule's mostly unsuccessful restoration. After 6 years, the mark of the Triforce appears on his hand. Impa presses his mark against the sealed doorway in North Castle, revealing an altar with the sleeping Zelda the First on it. Please do not ask me how there are 2 living Zeldas despite Demise's reincarnation curse. I would like to know that myself. Impa tells Link the Sleeping Princess's story, then gives him a scroll from the Sleeping Zelda's father. After reading it, the hero learns that his mark is due to the former king's spell, as he is worthy of the Triforce of Courage. It is hidden in the Great Palace, so he travels there, defeats his own shadow, and receives the Triforce part. He returns to North Castle, the full artifact reunites itself before the altar, and Zelda the First's curse can finally be broken, allowing her to wake up to a new world.
Not sure what I am more terrified by. The fact that I somehow am still alive, or that you all knew about me yet somehow forgot about the fact that the Triforce has 3 parts.
This honestly makes Zelda the First from this game the #1 on my list of Zelda characters I wish I could know more about. Her story is fascinating but overly simple as this is an NES game. Peace returns to Hyrule as Ganon finally remains defeated. The old kingdom may now be little more than ruins, but a new nation with the same name is able to rise from it. So, this is what happens in a world where the Hero of Time fails in his quest. Hyrule ascends, Hyrule suffers, Hyrule falls. Demise's curse is successful, and I very much mean the Hero of Time, as much as I tried to split the arcs apart. All of these stories kind of revolve around him, as each timeline split begins with a game following up on it and developing the nation that had to live with the consequences of his actions. Meanwhile, Skyward Sword purposefully built up to it all. That's probably also why these games are the ones with the Master Sword. It's all connected to him. From now on, this is no longer the case. Obviously, no franchise this massive can be completely coherent, so this was to be expected. Besides, variety is the spice of life, and there's definitely people that consider at least one of the next few games their favorite. Hyrule was once attacked by a great evil, so the Minish, or Picori as the Hylians knew them, descended from the skies to save the people. They brought the Picori Blade and the Light Force to the hero of men. Honestly, I could make that title more douchebag-ish if I tried. The hero sealed the evil in the bound chest and locked it with the Picori Blade. To celebrate his victory, Hyrule started a tradition of an annual Picori festival where the champion of a sword fighting tournament would be allowed to touch the sword. This will totally never go wrong. A century later, a power-hungry Minish called Vati wins this tournament and breaks the Picori Blade once he gets his hand on it, and opens the bound chest in the hopes for the Light Force, only to unleash the ancient evil instead. Oh no, who could have foreseen this? Vati turns Princess Zelda to stone and kidnaps her as he realizes that the Light Force he seeks is within her. To match his inner self, he takes on the form of a winged demon.
I swear, if Link misses the ceremony due to oversleeping again, I will...
Link, a blacksmith apprentice and Zelda's close friend, is enlisted by King Daltus to reforge the Picori Blade. He works with Eslo, a Minish sage, and Vati's former mentor whom he stole the Mage's Cap from to not just restore the weapon, but infuse it with 4 elements to create the Four Sword. I wonder why they called it that. With this new weapon, Link defeats Vati and saves his childhood friend. Zelda then uses the Mage's Hat for a wish that undoes the damage the demon dealt to Hyrule. Forging a brighter future, Link received the title of the Hero of the Minish. Vati is presumed dead, but comes back one day with no memories of his life as a Minish. Fucking casual, Ganon died multiple times and it took a botched revival to actually affect his mind. He declares himself as the Wind Mage, claims the Palace of Winds, and starts kidnapping young maidens. He is eventually sealed in the Force Sword by an unspecified hero, and the sword is left in the Force Sword Sanctuary. Generations later, Vati breaks free, kidnaps Zelda. Because she's a maiden, I guess?
This is bullshit.
And takes the princess to the Wind Palace. The current Link grabs the Force Sword and splits into 4 copies of himself. The 4 defeat Vati, rescue Zelda, seal Vati in the Force Sword once more, and reunite to be one Link again. For his quick, but still remarkable victory, Link is remembered as the hero of the Force Sword. Honestly, he did it so well that Vaati was basically forgotten. Multiple games happened between Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures, although that's neither here nor there. For centuries, Hyrule and the Gerudo have lived in peace. Unfortunately, the Demon King Ganondorf was reincarnated as a male Gerudo, so he stole the trident from the ancient pyramid as well as the Dark Mirror from the Temple of Darkness. Due to the darkness in his heart, the mirror reflected it and birthed demonic creatures, including one Shadow Link, all with the aim to release Vaati.
Oh, hell no.
The rising darkness makes the current Princess Zelda uneasy, so she gathers 6 Shrine Maidens to renew the seal of the Winged Demon. Shadow Link attacks, scattering the maidens, like rats. The newest Link follows, falls out the Forest Sword and splits into 4 copies of himself, but accidentally releases Vaati as well. Atop the Tower of Winds, the heroes battle Vaati and Ganon, destroying the demon and sealing the Gerudo in the Forest Sword forever. At last, Hyrule is at peace. After reuniting as one, Link is remembered as the hero of light. Ganon is an incarnation of Demise's hatred, we know that very well. However, it is unclear whether the same applies to Vaati, especially if both can apparently coexist. I like to think that both of them come from him, be it out of malice, envy, or whatever other motivation you can think of. Hatred is hatred. It will always be destructive and need to be fought by those courageous enough to stand up, be it alone or together. What? I can be poetic, I don't need everything to be a giant shitpost. I enjoy being a little theatrical sometimes. Okay, since this isn't a proper arc and I'll be covering the non-canon game, I'll drop the narrator bit. Hope this isn't a deal breaker. In this world, long ago, Ganondorf was defeated and his soul split into 4 parts, 3 in different moments in time, the last in the Master Sword. Sia, a sorceress weirdly obsessed with the hero spirit, decided to resurrect him. For that, she attacks Hyrule Castle, which leads to Link fighting and discovering his Triforce of Courage. Through a trap, Sia gets Link's and Zelda's Triforce pieces, combining them with her Triforce of Power. With the complete artifact, she creates time portals to Ganondorf's resting places, so the group splits up to work with heroes from those times and to save Hyrule. Once Ganondorf is mostly reunited, he obviously tries to take the Triforce as Sia is useless now, but she splits it again, returns Link's and Zelda's pieces, and tries to reseal him with her own. Womp womp, Link pulls out the Master Sword and kills Sia, Ganondorf resurrects fully, and Link just beats the guy and his minions too, despite him having the whole Triforce. The timeline gets restored as everyone returns to the time period. Lana watches over the Triforce now as she's got the Dead Sia's power, and Link and Zelda return the Master Sword to prevent Ganon from escaping his newest Triforce-induced seal. There's other stories about Sia getting her forces before the story, Link all desperately trying to be a hero, and Link investigating portals to Wind Waker, but I think we can do without those. This game is not particularly thematically relevant. Story-wise, it was always a Sonic Generations type deal, only with completely original interpretations of Link and Zelda, kinda minimizing emotional impact here. I love this game on a basic gameplay level, but I'll be the first to say that it isn't a huge loss that it isn't canon. Only reason I like to think of it as such is that its time goddess is the only way we could explain the mess that is the unified timeline. Although this is definitely a cold take considering MatPat made a theory about this ages ago. But does it matter if it's canon or not? Nintendo has kinda stopped caring about the franchise history and we're about to see the consequences of that. Actually, no, screw that. Anyone who knows what the open world games have done to the lore understands that they're basically completely disconnected from previous entries. Breath of the Wild started a trend for Zelda to throw its past away, instead focusing on revamping everything while, for some reason, pretending that the games are still connected. Suddenly, we just have a second Hyrule with another Ganondorf betrayal, another set of sages, another imprisoning war, another Rauru, another time-traveling Zelda, and so on. History does repeat itself in real life too, but not down to the fucking letter. This is ridiculous! So yeah, while my original script had chapters breaking down Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Calamity, and Echoes of Wisdom, I'm cutting those. They're perfectly fine games on their own, but in connection to prior games, they make the whole franchise null and void. Alright, I think I've made it clear that what happened to the Zelda franchise's stories was, in my opinion, a tragedy. Let's go back and think through everything that came before 2017, alright? I feel like non-Zelda fans don't really appreciate it enough. Arc 1 is the origin story of Hyrule, the Master Sword, and the overall biggest conflict of the series. Arc 2 gives us a main character to follow as his adventures take their toll on him, but he still decides to keep fighting for those who will never appreciate him. Arc 3 shows us a kingdom of the past desperately trying to fit into the present, but falling and being replaced by a different yet familiar nation that can treat its people better. Arc 4 has a similar descent but in a darker manner, as the people are not ready to let go yet, so the fight is a lot more vicious even as heroes see dark reflections of the kingdom they fight for. Arc 5 is about moving on and letting go, accepting that Hyrule is in complete disrepair and that maybe the place haunted by Ganon and his minions is just not worth clinging to when there's a whole world to explore. Arc 6 has a second villain, Vati, trying to take the stage and losing himself just like Ganondorf did. Both have similar goals and keep coming back. One represents wrath, the other envy, but the moment they actually work together, their defeat is permanent. But here's the interesting part. I may have split these stories into separate arcs, not necessarily tied to each other, but that's not how they were written. Except for some entries, looking at Forza's Adventures here, these were all kind of conceptualized as prequels or sequels of each other. Hell, Ocarina of Time was meant to be the imprisoning war from A Link to the Past. This timeline was intentional. I've seen people throw it aside, saying it's basically just a random order to promote Skyward Sword as the first one, but then we wouldn't have shit like the hero shade. Story matters in Zelda. It always has, otherwise people would not have been this obsessed with the franchise pre-Breath of the Wild. There wouldn't have been mangas just to adapt these stories, and there wouldn't have been Hyrule Warriors to celebrate the fantastic mess that this timeline is. I, personally, think that the way Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom tried to redo Zelda lore, like Ganondorf's betrayal from Ocarina of Time, the imprisoning war from A Link to the Past, Zelda being sent back in time in Skyward Sword, is interesting. It could definitely be worthwhile. Unfortunately, Nintendo's weird insistence that this is still the same timeline just a lot later sours everything. Events repeat for no rhyme or reason, it's Forza's Adventures Ganondorf on crack. And Echoes of Wisdom is also a mess. It's been inserted between Triforce Heroes and Zelda 1, but now we somehow have to explain things like fucking Ganon being forgotten for a few years until people remembered again. To me, it feels like Nintendo is trying to reboot the Zelda timeline. However, they seem to be scared of people being unhappy with leaving the old one behind. Issue is that, this way, we can neither move forward nor build on what already exists. These games were always kind of isolated from each other, but this is a whole different beast. Does the past even matter anymore? Does Nintendo care? And, you know, I would try to make predictions on where the story might end up going in a video in this format, but answer me this question. If the creators don't care about the franchise's history, why should I care about its future? Oh boy, alright, hi, this is Game Reel post-recording. Yeah, this was meant to be a slightly different video, but I managed to make a proper video essay out of it. That's good, that's good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the fact that I managed to drop 2 videos in such close proximity. It took me literally years. I will never do this again. But yes, welcome to Season 2 of Game Reel, I guess. With the new avatar and shit. It's gonna be fun! It's gonna be fun, I promise. Oh, also, as a slight addendum, I want to thank the 2 voice actors that voiced the Zeldas and Marin and Midna, because I don't have that kind of female voice, and I'm not going through voice training for a single video. So, yeah, thanks. You'll see their names on screen right now, and the specific roles they played. But yeah, like and subscribe, or I will haunt you in your sleep. Bye-bye!